Now, we're also talking about buy-to-let on the show today, and concerns this morning that the buy-to-let market is showing signs of decline. What was once seen as a lucrative investment now isn't looking so rosy at all, and the value of buy-to-let properties falling, developers struggling to sell new properties, flats in particular are seen as a poor investment, with reports that one development in Southampton has had its prices slashed by £40,000 due to lack of buyers. Now, I'd love to hear from you this morning if you are a buy-to-let investor. Has it all gone a bit pear-shaped? Or actually, are you finding, as some are reporting, that more people want to rent now because they can't get a mortgage? There's the other side of the story. Our reporter Joe Palmer has been looking into the buy-to-let market and joins me on the show this morning from our radio car. She's nestled in among the many estate agents in London Road in Southampton, I gather. Morning, Joe. Right, we'll come back to Joe in just a moment's time. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit more about this. And on the line now, Jonathan Davis, Chartered Financial Planner at Armstrong Davis. Jonathan, good morning.
Good morning, Julian.
So do you think the buy-to-let bubble has burst?
The whole housing market has burst, I beg your pardon, and yes, buy-to-let is effectively dead. Indeed, the Times on Saturday had a very big article calling it "The Banks Pull the Plug on Buy-to-Let Landlords." This market is dead.
Right. I mean, that's pretty blunt words there, Jonathan. Is it really that bad?
Well, you call it blunt, I call it economic reality. The costs for landlords has risen dramatically. The mortgage rates have gone up significantly. They took out two or 3 years ago. They took out mortgages at roughly 4.5% or 5%. Now they're lucky if it's 6.5%, maybe 7%. On top of that, this is the people who have already got those properties. On top of that, when they come to remortgage, reset their fixed rates, the banks will require them to actually have a larger deposit than they had 2 or 3 years ago, and that's on a fallen property price. Therefore, a lot of buy-to-letters are going to have to actually put a lot of money into the property. The whole point of being in business is that you take money out of the property. It's very difficult to get buy-to-let mortgages now, and compared to the monthly income that you receive after all the costs, mortgage, maintenance, building insurance, letting agents' costs, they're losing money on a monthly basis, and they're certainly losing money from the capital, the value of the property.
So all in all, it's not a good investment. The knock-on of this, Jonathan, is if people pull out of this, will there be less properties to rent? And then the other side of the market is people struggling to get a mortgage. They may land up wanting to rent, and there'll be less properties to rent.
No, that's looking at the economics with rose-tinted glasses. In an economic downturn, which we are in now, it's all very well that there's a property for rent for, I don't know, say £1,000 a month, but the fact is, if you lose your job, you can't afford to rent. What you'll actually find is that, just like in the 1990s and in any economic downturn, you'll find that people actually go back and live with their folks, who, let's face it, we know the demographics are that there's lots of larger properties out there with just one or two middle-aged people or pensioners living in them, so people will go and live with their folks. And yes, there has been a massive increase of properties for sale, which previously were for rent, but that doesn't mean they're being sold. In fact, the numbers of transactions has fallen by literally a half over the last 12 months. No, the whole housing market has radically altered since 9 months ago, since the global credit crunch started, and prices are falling rapidly. Indeed, today, major survey came out, hometrack.co.uk, of asking prices. Prices are down 0.9% year on year, the first fall year on year in about 15 or 18 years.
On that jolly note, Jonathan, thank you for joining us on the show today. Jonathan Davis, Chartered Financial Planner at Armstrong Davis, joining us from London there this morning. Joe Palmer, our reporter listening to that, who's been taking a look at the buy-to-let market here in the south. Joe, what have you found?
Oh, it's fascinating. A quick snapshot here at the market. And it's not great, and the various surveys point out the various weaknesses. I think we've all accepted now the market is beginning to drop. But just a couple of those surveys for you. The Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors are saying that nearly 80% of the people that they spoke to last month reported a fall in house prices. Meanwhile, another survey said that the housing market, confidence-wise, was at its lowest point in 30 years. And even the government's most recent house price survey has had to acknowledge this downturn in the market. And I have to say, here on London Road, Julian, where I've got 16 estate agents all scanned out in front of me, do you know what the telling sign is for me? When I was here a year ago, looking in these windows, browsing as I am now, as well as all the properties for sale, there was always a section of one window dedicated to houses that had been sold. It was almost a bit, you know, if you'd got in a bit quicker, you might have been able to get this one.
Yep.
Now, in all of these windows, it's only properties for sale. There's nothing here telling me what's been sold.
Interesting. Joe Palmer, thank you very much indeed. So if you're a buy-to-let landlord, has Jonathan Davis's words there from the company there, Armstrong Davis, cheered you up? Do you agree? He says the buy-to-let market is dead. I tried to inject some optimism, Judy and Jeff, into that man desperately, and then the next question, he still said rose-coloured glasses, so it was no good, couldn't get anything out of it.
I would agree with you. I would have thought the demand for rental was going to soar, but
he claims people won't rent, they'll go and live with their folks.
which is fine when you can, isn't it?
Yeah, is that going to be the only answer? I wonder. 0845 30 39 61 is the buy-to-let market dead in the water completely? Let me know. Also, do you think when people can't actually buy, they'll go and live with their folks rather than rent? Call me. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well.
So I've got my kids with me for the next 10 years then.
That's it. Jeff, never get rid of them.
Well, of course, we did that show the other week, didn't
Yes,
we?
we did.
The Kids Won't Leave Home show.
Oh, go away.
And amazing how many people rang in, really.